Hi, I'm Dr. Nate Bosch, Director of the Lilly Center for Lakes and Streams. We've got a fun segment here for you today called Name That Algae, and I'm joined by a very special guest.
Hi, my name is Anna Crawford. I'm going to be a senior this year at Grace. I am an environmental science major, and I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm loving my time here in Kosciuszko County.
And you are our team leader of the algae team.
I am, yes.
All right.
It's been an adventure for sure.
All right, and you know all of the species of algae in these 3 volumes here?
Not quite.
Okay, and you told me back in the lab we actually have several more.
Yes, I think we have probably about 5 or 6 more books that we referenced to.
Wow.
Couldn't fit all those in my bag though.
So every week during the summer, our Lilly Center sampling team goes out to a number of our lakes and takes samples, including algae samples. They bring them back to the lab, and then what does your team do with those?
Yeah, so once those samples come back to our lab, we preserve them, and then we make algae slides out of them. So each one bottle that they bring back, so one bottle from each lake that they sample throughout the week during the summertime, we use that one bottle and make 3 different microscope slides out of them, and then that way we can vary our counts throughout those 3.
Right, and so we've got a backup then, and then a backup to the backup,
Exactly.
as well as we get a good representative sample. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to talk about some of the major types of algae. So we have 5 major types of algae in our lake, and we're going to give an example of each one of those in our Name That Algae segment here.
Sounds good.
Okay, so tell us about this first one that we have pictured here in front of us.
Yeah, so right here, this is considered a serratium, which is its genus name. It is a dinoflagellate, which a lot of the times you'll hear about dinoflagellates in the news. Red tide. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about that, especially over this past summer.
Yeah.
In freshwater lakes, like what we find here in Kosciuszko County, we see these types of dinoflagellates, but they don't release toxins, whereas their marine water cousins, they do. So these aren't very much of a concern to us, but they do look very cool.
Yeah.
We like to think of them as an Eiffel Tower, as they sort of look like that. Its tip is here and its legs.
Yeah, so if we turn this on its side, then we can see that Eiffel Tower sort of look.
We see these types of dinoflagellates a couple of times in each one of our samples. I would say they're pretty prevalent in our lakes.
Oh. All right, so that's our dinoflagellate category. Now we're going to move on to another category of algae. So Anna, name that algae.
So this is a diatom. It's beautiful, as you can see, and it's my personal favorite kind of algae.
You have a favorite type of algae?
I do.
You're really that nerdy, huh?
Well, yes, I am, and I'm proud of it. This type of algae, as I said, it's called a diatom. Its genus name is Fragillaria. This algae is really special in that it takes silica and the water around it, and it creates like this glass cell wall, like a glass house.
Cool.
So under the microscope, when the light is shining through, all of that light is being refracted into this cell, the silica cell wall, and it turns rainbowy.
So those of you who are listening, you're not able to see what we're seeing, but we've got rainbow colors sort of going across these algal cells. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
Fragillaria, so I'm guessing it's fragile, maybe?
I'm sure it is, yes.
All right, good. So we've gone through dinoflagellates, diatoms, and now we're moving to the next major category.
Yeah.
Name that algae.
So this type of algae is considered a golden algae. Its genus name is a Dinobrion. This algae right here, we took a picture of it on one of our preserved slides, so it's actually not living, which a lot of the times on our preserved slides, these types of algae do not last our slide making process, and usually they'll break apart. So when I found this algae on our slides, I was very impressed with how well this was put together. So you can see almost like these distinctive little leaves. I'd like to call it almost looks like a tree branch to me.
Yeah, or like little fancy little glasses or something. And from what I understand with this genus of algae, you can tell the species based on sort of the shapes of those little cups or glasses.
Yeah, it's interesting in that the shapes of these glasses that depend on the genus, the differences are just ever so slight. So you have to really pay attention to that when you're counting.
That's why you need all these books.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. So we've got dinoflagellates, diatoms, golden algae. What about this one, Anna?
Okay, this is another one of my favorites. This is called a Volvox. It is really cool. You can see there is this giant circular colony, and then in the middle of that circular colony are smaller circular colonies. And the larger colonies are considered mother colonies, and then the smaller colonies in the middle are daughter colonies. And as these colonies age and mature, then the mother colony will break and the daughter colonies will be released into the water around it.
Wow.
So a lot of the times we'll see these in our live samples, which are really cool. We don't have a live sample here, but you can see them just spinning ever so slightly.
That's really
they're
cool.
very cool.
So just a slow sort of spin that you can see.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Volvox is a type of
Green algae.
green algae. So we've got dinoflagellates, diatoms, golden, and green algae. And then final type of algae category we're talking about today, what's this one?
Yeah, so this is a cyanobacteria, and its genus name is Microcystis, which this is a type of algae that we see a lot in our lakes, and we're trying really hard to understand how it releases toxins and if it's releasing toxins, and I'm sure you guys will talk about that in later segments. But these algae, we're really trying hard to understand the species. So the genus name, like I said, is Microcystis, but there are different species of that genus. And understanding the species and studying the species is really our goal, especially this summer. And that's where these books come in handy.
Yeah. And these are just specific to cyanobacteria.
Yeah. So these 3 books are all cyanobacteria. So the other 4 that we just talked about, we have other books for those ones.
Wow.
But yeah, it just gives you an idea of how diverse and really beautiful that these algae are, especially going back to our diatoms and our Volvox. It's just really cool to see God's creation and these microscopic things. That's something I wasn't expecting going into this job as a freshman in college. So I've really come to love this microscopic world that God's made for all of us to enjoy.